Hi guys, it's Bambi, and I'm going to show you guys how I make my troll paint because I am broke and don't have time to go out and buy some. So the first thing you'll need is really any kind of foundation that is light-ish. Like I have olive skin, and I wouldn't go any lighter than that. So any kind of, not lighter, darker, any kind of light foundation will do, and I have a little container that used to have some paint in it. And just kind of get yourself out some foundation into your container. Ew, gross. This is just some random stuff that I'm using. So, there's some in there. And the next thing you're going to need is black or dark gray eyeshadow. I'm using black because I have black. I like to take, this is a little teeny tiny, like, coarse, I have no idea what it's for, brush. I like to use that because it just kind of breaks apart the eyeshadow enough so that it's like a powder. So you just kind of do that a little bit till you have a pretty good amount. And when this troll paint is finished, it might not look gray. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But it definitely goes on gray. So once you get a good amount of powder, you just kind of tap into your container. So it should look kind of weird because you just have a glob of foundation and black eyeshadow powder. And then I just use the end of my brush because it's easier. And mix it in. Mixy, mixy, mix. And if your eyeshadow isn't in a powder, sometimes it will clump, and then when you put it on, it'll give you like a black streak, which you can just rub into your skin, but it still is annoying because then sometimes you have a dark spot. Anyways, and you're going to want to repeat the process of getting the black eyeshadow into your powder until you think you have enough. I have such a process. And sometimes I like to mix a little bit of my gray. I like silver. I like to mix a little bit of that into there sometimes too. Just because it kind of gives it a little bit of a shine almost, because it's kind of sparkly. But you don't want to use, what you don't want to do, is you don't want to use really sparkly black eyeshadow or gray eyeshadow, because then your troll will look like frickin' Edward. You'll have a vampire troll in not the good way. So, depending on the kind of foundation you use, I was going to use a different kind of foundation, the one that I showed you in the beginning, but it is not coming out. So this foundation is like a pump squirt kind of thing. That just sounds horrible. Anyways, and it's a little bit thicker than some foundation, so it doesn't mix as well. So you can see this does not look gray, and I don't know how well it'll show up on my hand, but it is gray, as you can obviously see. It definitely goes on gray. And this is a lighter gray. And if you continually rub it in, it sometimes fades a bit, so it, like, your skin shows through a bit. This is a paler gray. And I have another gray. This is a batch I made a few days ago. It, as you can see, does look gray because I used a thinner foundation, and I'll show you a little bit of what it looks like. This is a different gray than this. This one looks a little bit greener, I would say, a little bit more flesh toned, whereas this is more of a sharp gray. Anyways, just repeat your process. Make sure that your foundation, or not your foundation, your eyeshadow, isn't like broken into pieces, because it does sometimes. You'll be like rubbing your foundation in and you'll have like a gray streak because it clumped and just ran across your arm. And you just kind of rub that in if that happens. Anyways, so generally, depending on the kind of foundation you use, some of it just looks like foundation and some of it actually looks gray. So I'm going to put some on and then put some more on so you guys can get a good visual of really what it looks like. This is before you rub it in, and it's just, you can obviously tell it's not. And then you rub it in and apply it like foundation. And this batch is definitely grayer than the one I just made, and it actually looks a little bit blue in some lighting. And that is something you have to be careful of, that it's not like blue. So you have to make sure your eyeshadow, I've had moments where I was mixing some and I realized my eyeshadow wasn't actually black, it was navy blue. So I looked really weird. It was like a Vriska thing going on. Because, you know, each troll has a tint-ish of their color. So like I would probably use this one for Nepeta because it seems to be a little bit more green, or maybe a Tavros. And that is something you can do, is like for instance, I'm gonna make this a Nepeta batch and I have green eyeshadow, and I'm just going to take some of my green and do a little bit of green into this mix, and also show you what it does when you add some color to it, and how it does tend to go to the tint of that troll. So if you, like me, have an addiction to buying different kinds of eyeshadows, you will understand and see how easy it is. Don't mind my background sound, I'm watching Jenna marbles, but as you can see, this, well, mildly see, I don't know how well you can tell on screen, but this definitely has more of a green tint. You'd be able to tell better if I had good lighting. But this is a greener tint in person. It looks more of a green than this does. And if you don't get the desired color that you want, just add more. Like, some people like giving Nepeta a bit of a greener tint than I do. Or, you know, with Vriska and Aqueous, you can make your gray more of a blue so that it kind of shows through. And for all you devoted cosplayers who have money all the time, you can just go out and buy your paint from wherever you want it. I like this better. It feels less uncomfortable. It's not as uncomfortable as like oil-based paints, and they're just kind of heavy. It's literally like putting on foundation. That's what it is. Whereas lots of troll paints, some of them dry weird, and then when you like people who have big smiles and, or, you know, and they move their face, they crack, and that's just kind of seems stressful and would be really horrible to deal with at a con. That was bad. It just seems like it'd be really bad to deal with at a con. You just be like, start laughing and your troll paint cracks all along your mouth. Anyways, that was my tutorial on troll paint. I will probably show you guys my Tavros cosplay later. I really hope you enjoyed that whole little tutorial. So you can comment on what you think, or if you actually try this, how it worked for you. Ask me questions. You can ask basically all of the characters, Homestuck basically. Ask questions of them, and we will make videos and get back to you on it. So rate, comment, subscribe, ask me questions in the comments on Tumblr. I will post a link in the description below. Enjoy the rainbow socks. I love you. I can't do a heart from this angle. Anyways, love you. Bye.